Hello, I'm Jacqueline Holstead, and you are listening to On Point Conversations. In this podcast series, we share creative marketing, content, and branding strategies that help your business successfully navigate the new normal marketing environment. One of the things that I've been working on and talking about and coming up with and trying to work together on is how do we keep employees? Because it's very expensive to recruit, to hire, to put in a company, have that employee get up to speed and be productive and things to work smoothly. It's expensive. So rather than having people quit periodically and then starting all over again, we want to retain those people. So retention is really the ability to keep our employees satisfied and choose to stay with your organization. Now that actually took a devastating blow during the COVID-19 pandemic. In the US alone, more than 4 million people quit their jobs in April 2021. And by November 2021, that number went up to 4.5 million. So the phenomenon of so many employees leaving their jobs after a year of health crisis that earned the distinct title of the Great Resignation. So what raises the question, in a climate of increased turnover, how do we keep employees working and reduce turnover? I think, first of all, it's helpful to understand why employees stay somewhere. So there was a study done by the Human Resources Group, and they came up with 5 leading factors that keep employees happy. One is respectful treatment of all employees at all levels. The second is compensation and pay. Third is trust between employees and senior management. Fourth is job security. And fifth is opportunities to use their skills and abilities at work. So now, how do we actually, as a company, create an employee retention strategy? So to retain top employees in 2022 and 2023 and on beyond that, employers need to implement effective retention strategies that support the critical areas that I just mentioned. Because instead of doing the bare minimum to retain employees, they need to be offering more compensation opportunities with tenure, and they have to focus on multiple areas of the work experience that are proven to combat those high turnover rates. And they want to keep employees longer by using those retention strategies. So the best employee retention strategies address the reasons employees are leaving the organization. So if you have a vision or you understand why employees are leaving your organization, they may not tell you when they do the exit interview, or you may not even do exit interviews. But you want to know, are your employees unhappy with their chances for advancement? Is that one? Are they less engaged or unhappy with the work? Did they have a negative experience with a manager or coworker? Or is it just a plain old toxic workplace culture? Is that the whole issue? And that's not a just. That is a major, major stumbling block. And foundation, by the way, of your whole organization should be a good workplace structure, culture. So let's talk about 7 strategies to retain employees longer. First of all, I want to let you know there's really no single strategy. There's no one thing that guarantees that employees are going to stay with your organization longer. But looking at leadership principles and combine that with what you know as drivers of retention is only going to help to reduce the turnover rate and then also increase the organization's productivity. So there are really 2 very good reasons to work on employee retention. So let's consider the following 7 strategies to improve the employee experience and help employees want to stay. The first one is immerse the employees in the culture. Now, really, prior to that, you have to have a good working culture, and you need to be very much evaluating with a critical eye whether you have that culture or not, and if you don't, make the changes to get it that way. Large business and small business alike, they continually find that company culture is a significant contributor to how people, employees feel, and whether they're satisfied with their jobs. So when it comes to attracting and retaining talent, I'm going to talk about the Glassdoor study of over 650,000 participants. And they found that what matters more than money is culture and the values followed by leadership. So you can't just develop a culture. You have to have a culture and values, and they have to be followed by all your leadership. So building an organization culture where employees can thrive and can do more to help employees want to stay than almost any other factor. Let me repeat that. Building an organization culture where employees can thrive can do more to help your employees want to stay than almost any other factor. This starts actually at the onboarding process. So when you've hired and you're onboarding, your HR leaders or who is ever bringing those people in can do more than just completing the hiring process and educating new hires about their health benefits and 401k. They can introduce new team members to the workplace culture, let them know how that culture will help them prosper throughout the careers at the organization. So again, this begins at the onboarding process. The second strategy is focus on making connections. People want to be connected. According to a global culture report, a working environment where employees form strong connections to their team, leader, and organization leads to employees staying with their organizations longer. Well, more specifically, the odds of employees wanting to stay with their company 6 years or more increases by 175% when connections are strong. Now, how do you make those connections? Well, leaders can encourage greater connection by focusing on efforts such as team building, holding regular one-to-one meetings, and connecting people's work to the purpose of the organization. They also need to check in frequently with employees and trigger meaningful conversations. So it takes time and it takes effort, but it's making those connections. The third strategy idea is to recognize and appreciate employees. We've been doing this for a long time. It's no secret that employee recognition does play a significant role in keeping employees happy and motivated to stay with the organization. That's most effectively done through a more formal employee recognition program. And that allows employees to appreciate great work as it happens on a day-to-day basis or peer-to-peer recognition. And when companies celebrate together, employees are 20 times more likely to feel connected and want to stay. So to remain highly effective, employee recognition should be a constant, integrated part of the organization's culture. Employee appreciation also works best when it's personalized to fit each employee. And more importantly, it should always connect employees to purpose, accomplishment, and one another. So it's not just an employee recognition, once a month you do an employee recognition. This is really geared towards being more personalized and meaning something. Strategy 4 would be to provide ongoing training opportunities. Organizations, they really demonstrate that they're committed to the employees' long-term career paths when they do offer opportunities for professional development. I'm thinking of things like company training programs, tuition support, mentoring. So Harvard Business Review noted a strategy called designing development into everyday experiences. So for example, one organization promoted weekly peer mentoring sessions between people in adjacent functions that regularly work together. These cross-functional sessions proved to help employees become more engaged in learning new skills and opening new career paths. And as further support, the 2022 Global Culture Report shows that when leaders introduce employees to mentors, the odds of satisfying connection needs improve by 132%. So this is very important to offer some of those ongoing training opportunities. I particularly like the cross-training idea, cross-functional training, because it allows people in a team to also see what the other person does and to start having more empathy for how this whole team is going to work together. Strategy 5 would be to provide work-life balance. So elevating the well-being of workers and creating a healthy work-life balance can make a significant difference in how employees feel about job satisfaction in their place of work. There's another study that was done, I think that was the 2022 Global Culture Report too. Read that 76% of workers are experiencing some level of employee burnout. And when an employee is burnt out, there's less patience. There's a lot of things that go along with burnout. So a decreased work-life balance and feeling like work has a negative effect on your health, or a decreased sense of belonging, can increase risk of burnout and therefore increase people and likelihood of people leaving. There's also an increased likelihood of employee engagement when hybrid workers had flexibility in where and how they work. Strategy 6 is offer the freedom to work remotely. And there's really no question that the increase in the ability of workers to work remotely contributed to the Great Resignation. Because they saw more of their families, they saw more of their pets, their animals, they liked it, and I think they still produced very good work. So to accommodate the need for employees to isolate during the pandemic, employers had to offer more flexible work and make new policies to work from home or hybrid. But research has also found that the more freedoms for remote or hybrid work actually improved employee experiences. And one of the studies saw a 41% increased likelihood of employee engagement when hybrid workers had flexibility in where and how they work. So something you might want to think about, because we're now talking a lot about hybrid work, is a good practice for improving that employee experience for hybrid work is to reserve the remote time for getting work done after collaborating and solving problems in the office. So as your team gets together, they're collaborating, they're solving problems, they're putting action items into place, and each person has their action item and they know exactly what they're going to work on, and they can then work remotely on that particular aspect. And strategy 7, this is a little bit yet to be defined a little bit, but it's deliver peak experiences. So what do I mean by peak? Well, those are the bigger, more impactful events that build lasting connections and lead to greater employee satisfaction in the workplace. So modern leaders who act as mentors, they advocate for employee development, and they connect employees to meaningful opportunities. They help those employees find a greater sense of purpose, accomplishment, and connection to each other. That improves, again, employee retention, the employee experience, and it will make organizations stronger. Now, an example of a peak experience might be leading out a big project. It might be receiving a company-wide recognition for making a significant contribution. Or it might be a chance to exercise an employee's unique skills in a new way. So experiences like these, they're going to lead to greater employee morale and feelings of success, and therefore more retention, and therefore more productivity in the company itself, and people getting along better. So again, these are not strategies that are for everyone, and they're not strategies that you want to put everything in place. I think the first thing is make sure you have a culture that is a growing culture, that is an open-minded culture, that is a culture that people want to work in. The strategies are, and I'll just go through them briefly, was immerse employees in the culture. So make sure they know how and where, what the culture is, and immerse it in it. Focus on making connections. Recognize and appreciate employees. Provide ongoing training opportunities. Provide a work-life balance. And then deliver those peak experiences. So really thinking about what's best for your company, the most successful employee retention strategy is going to address the reasons why people are leaving your company in the first place. So look at that first. So you want to look at why are they leaving? Because what might work for one company might not work for another company. It may not be the best strategy for another. So look at what and why people are leaving. So, for example, let's say you can retain employees longer by addressing compensation and benefits if they're lagging behind compared to the competition. Or if your employee turnover stems from the lack of internal promotion, then you can create an employee retention strategy to address career advancement. The bottom line in all this is you want to focus on strengthening and reinforcing your workplace culture. That's the first and the foundation. Once you have that in place, then you implement the strategies that are going to provide the kinds of employee experiences that your people are looking for, giving them meaningful work and encouraging regular and meaningful recognition for employees. Again, you need to go into your organization and select what works best for you and determine how you find out why people are leaving, where people are leaving in the department, look at trending, and then determine the best strategy that you can take after you have worked out your company culture to be a strong one. Thank you for listening. Again, you're listening to Jacqueline Holstead On Point Conversations. I look forward to hearing from you at my onpointthinking.com website. You can write me an email or contact me at that page, and I get those and I answer them. Thanks for listening again, and hope this helped you in your customer or in your employee retention programs. Thank you and have a great day. Thank you for listening, and I invite you to join me next week as we talk more about specific actions you can take to reach your own business goals. You can find my library of other inspiring podcasts like this one at onpointthinking.com. Again, thank you for listening. This is Jacqueline Holstead at On Point Conversations.